afternoon, relaxing Sunday afternoon, but not so relaxing club match. With me, I have not Paul Whitehead, but with me I have FIDE Master Jim Eid, and I will update your title just 1 second. And also in the line, I think we have Sabina and or Ish Alshan. Well, we'll have to see.
We are doing the final setups.
Yeah, and we also have to connect with our two students that they couldn't get paired, so we have to let them know.
And I terribly apologize. Usually our players are actually quite good in terms of showing up and do, so I wasn't too worried about it, but it seems that there were two of your players, and obviously in the match count we will count that as a 2 forfeit win for you and 2 forfeit loss for us.
Judith, I don't see you streaming. Oh, now I do. Okay.
We just came up.
Well, we don't really care that much. I mean, I have confidence in my team that without 2 forfeits, we still can win.
Oh, so he's trash talking. He's trash talking in English.
Yeah, and that's gonna be fun because Elshan and Sabina, they're gonna we can trash talk, and this is a very fun event. So
okay, we have a game,
and I'm trying to set up the screen a little bit so that we are all set. But we are actually pretty good.
You have to tell me who to root for in every game.
Well, we are rooting for Chess Monster, our very own Chess Monster.
I like the way Black is handling this.
Which Chess Monsters? What's his name?
His name is FIDE Master Paul Whitehead.
Oh, it's Paul. Okay.
So
well, I'm rooting for my boy is Ben, my highest rated player, and he's pretty good. He's much stronger than his rating. Just saying.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, for everyone, Elshan and I have been talking about this and wanted to see how we should do it, but we agreed that there will be some strange matchup, but generally it evens out, right? So some players will be underrated, some players will be overrated, and this will even out, and it's mainly for fun. And then let's see.
I have to say I like the Black Knights in this position. That's
yesterday, Paul, you guys covered quite a few matches with Black Knights, right? I remember that much. So Elshan and Sabina, you guys will be able to join with a webcam or not?
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
we just have a bit of a small delay. We'll be with you in 2 minutes, I think.
No, that's fine. I will be adjusting the screen.
This is an interesting position
based
because
on that.
If we can get back to chess for just a moment, Paul has put this knight on d4 and supported it with the E and C pawns, which makes it a very difficult piece to dislodge.
Mm-hmm.
If you take it, you're going to create a protected pass pawn. So White has declined to play d takes C en passant, which would have given him some sort of chance to prevent Paul's setup. Instead, he is choosing to do his own thing, and by putting the queen and bishop together on a battery, he's planning on playing bishop h6 at some point at least, and trying to trade off the dark squared bishops and creating dark squared weaknesses around Black's king.
Nice.
Now Paul is going to be striking at b5 at some point. He's preparing that with a6. He's wanting to create some counter play on the queen side to offset the assumed attack on the king side from White. So
I have on my computer. Sure.
Yes, I told you this doesn't work.
In the background, we have some technical issues, and
meanwhile, let me
resolve quickly. Pardon me.
So we are actually playing against White Knights Chess Club. They are coached by Grandmaster Elshan. I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name, unfortunately. And of course, woman Grandmaster Sabina Foysor, who is the 2017 US Women's Champion. And they're going to be joining us with a webcam soon. Um, so
Judith,
they
where,
could.
where are the White Knights located?
I don't know. They're looking. Actually, he's using it quite.
We're on North Carolina.
North Carolina.
So they are in North Carolina. They live in Durham, and North Carolina, I think, which is
Oh.
in the central, probably around like half an hour, 45 minutes from Raleigh, which is the capital city.
And
And
do you
Raleigh,
follow
Durham.
college basketball at all? College basketball is famous. Durham is famous. In
Yeah,
college.
Duke is really, really good. And for those who don't know, I actually worked for Duke for 2 years.
I did not
I was a research associate there in their newborn screening lab and cancer research lab. And so Raleigh, which has NC State, Durham, which has Duke, and UNC is in Chapel Hill. It's a triangle.
And Wake Forest too.
Oh, wait, yeah, wait,
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
But so the triangle, the big triangle, so Duke, UNC, and NC State, this is the three, and these are quite enemies. So at one
Right.
point, my husband was working for UNC, I was working for Duke, so you could.
That's tough.
You
Yes.
could tell
You can't wear the gear.
No, you can't. But to be honest, my heart is always with UNC. They were my very first employee, actually. When I got married and we moved to the US, I worked for UNC for 2 years. So
Well,
anyway.
then that makes sense. I understand that.
You always have a special place in your heart with your first employer, right?
Your first is always important. And
Yes,
B8
first is very important.
But Paul to play B5 and A4 is played to prevent B5.
Good. Let's.
So now,
I'm gonna say.
Guys.
Hey, you're connected.
Sounds good. So let's.
Just a second. I need to mute mine, otherwise you will hear an echo.
Yeah, and you have to. I'm gonna mute you, at least, and I will. I will
so now
try
my
to.
comments are going to be corrected by our the White Knight coach. And so what I've been saying is that White has been trying to build up an attack, prepare an attack on the king side, and Black is scrambling for a queenside counterplay. And so his moves have been designed to get in B5. White has tried to constrain B5 so that he is at his leisure could attack on the king side.
Yeah, I think it's a. Well, I think White, though I don't White was played. Obviously, White had better ways to just second side.
Asha, please fix that. We hear you twice. I don't know if you hear twice as well.
You're cutting
that's
out just a little
because
bit.
you're still in with the other. Let me kick you out.
You have muted me.
Well, I muted you, but probably if I just remove you, can I remove you?
Yeah. If you
No, don't remove me. Don't remove me. That's not the problem. The problem is Elshan.
The problem is Elshan.
Every wife has said that.
You guys are a couple.
Every wife has said that about every husband.
Right? Right, Jim? If we didn't know that they are a couple, we could totally tell, right?
He doesn't hear. He has some problem with his...
Okay, I think now it's working.
Okay. It doesn't matter. Anyway.
Now they have paused.
And we are certainly entertaining the crowd, I think.
Yeah, that's our job.
That's our job, exactly. Let's. I'm gonna move on to the second game, Chess TX versus IC Chucky.
Okay.
Chess CX is Tejas Mahesh, actually. And I don't know who's IC Chucky or I Chucky. They will probably tell us.
Tell me who to root for, White or Black.
We are rooting for White.
Okay.
And he's up on time, definitely.
And the time control is...
The time control is game in 15 plus 10. So it's a little bit longer, bigger increment than usually we have.
Right.
Which should allow the players a little bit more calm and not to worry about time control, right?
we're all about fun in these
Yeah.
events.
And
And,
I think it's just the two of us now, actually, Jim. So,
Okay.
oh well. Oh no, they're back.
Wait a second, guys. Wait a second. I'm trying again.
Cool. It's fine.
Okay. Now,
Cute couple. Which one? Me and Jim or Elshan and
No, Elshan has a problem with his speakers. His speakers are always when you
Yeah.
put the headset inside, it's not taking it in the
Yeah.
headset.
I'm just teasing
That's his
Akko.
problem with the
He
computer.
complimented the couple, and I asked which couple, me and Jim or you guys.
We were in the
And-
chat. We're looking at comments in the chat room.
Yeah.
no,
Okay, let's move on. We have Abhishek game. Abhishek, who's Abhishek
Elshan, would you say
Handigo.
something? Judith, just a moment. Elshan, would you say something so that I can make sure that I hear you correctly?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
It comes out of the speakers. It doesn't
I
come
know,
on
I
the
know.
headset. That's the problem.
But the problem is, the thing is that we have an echo here because she's live, and then she goes on live on Twitch. We have an echo here, so that's the problem. So, but you can hear me, can you?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly. We don't hear echo. And maybe that what Jim does is Jim mutes the Twitch so that you can see what we
No,
are talking.
it's not the Twitch. No, our problem is Elshan's computer
Mhm.
has this very strange thing when you plug it, the headphones, it doesn't recognize it. So it's still, you plug it in the
Yeah, I have the worst luck with microphones too.
So your microphones are fine. It's the speaker feedback that he's hearing, I think.
Yeah.
But in any case, as far as chess is concerned, in this position, it seems that White is trying to develop his dark squared bishop to b2, to fianchetto the position, and now the strike back of a5, so that it's putting the question, if you want to, the threat is obviously a takes b, because the pawn could not recapture because the rook would be hanging. So he's going to have to play bishop b2 to protect the rook, to keep the pawn on b4.
No, everything.
And I think Black is very aggressively placed, and White is more passive. The thing that White has as an advantage is the d5 pawn cramps Black's position and gives White more space or more maneuverability. But this is offset by no weaknesses in Black's position, other than perhaps the c6 and c7 squares. And this allows, I think, White to be able to maneuver his pieces and get them better posts. Right now, Black's pieces are better posted than White's. And now the bishop to b2 was called for and necessary, and also the long diagonal that the bishop now occupies is very effective.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Very nice.
But I do not see, I'm not clear about the ultimate plan on either side here. Maybe I can get some help from North Carolina.
From a grandmaster, woman grandmaster.
If I manage the problem with my IT savviness,
and the other concern I have is that
I would be more than happy to give some opinion there.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, here I think the position remains very unclear because I don't see Black playing e5 or f5. But in the meantime, I don't see how can White break through f4 because that makes the bishop a monster. So I think it's been kind of pretty much locked for a few until one of the players would run out of patience.
Yes.
I don't see this like it makes.
That's an excellent comment. The position requires patience on both players' side, and likely one of them will become impatient and make a move that is weakening in order to try to attempt to secure an advantage. That often is the case in chess. When you run out of patience, you can't quite decide what to do, you're bound to make a move that you will regret. So it is one of the elements of chess, besides ability, is also character. You have to have patience to play chess well.
Hello?
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah, and it seems I'm also managing some messages.
Oh,
We
chat-
have two of our player who came in late and they apologize. So
Oh, are we able to reschedule the games or?
I don't think so
forfeit?
because it's the
Yeah,
whole
okay.
lineup is so.
Well, it is. You have to show up on time. That's another
Yeah.
thing.
And it's also, I'm gonna send out the players a message that it's not only disrespectful to the other team, it's also, it casts a little bit of bad luck or bad view on mechanics.
Yes,
I know
but
it happens with either side. Sometimes we had
It
things
does
like
happen.
this with
don't go
Southern
too
Arizona where they had missing players. It's not a big deal, but at the same time,
I
if
would
you're
just don't go into mom mode and scold them. Just let them know firmly but politely that we expect them to be on time.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I'm gonna do that, but
Okay.
it's okay. Just seeing the messages. So yeah, so we
Now,
can see
You're seeing
Jamal is
messages that I am
messaging.
not seeing. 'Cause these are not going on in chat.
No, so one of them was on the Club Mesh chat, and I have also an email. Came in a few emails, so that's
Okay.
life. So
Yep.
let's
So we will fight on.
let's speak on Elliot. So Elliot
Yes, I'd
had
love-
a birthday yesterday, and he dominated yesterday. He not only dominated against the Italians, he then went on and participated in the afternoon tournament. He won the afternoon tournament. The game is 30.
I want to throw in a comment to Ashlan. Is it Ashlan?
Ishan, Elshan.
Elshan? I don't know. Anyways, Elshan. This
Elshan.
queen a8 move is very powerful because it puts pressure on the D pawn, which seems to be weak.
Mhm.
And he seems to have left the building. But the idea of defending it, you can choose between bishop c4 or bishop f3. And I was wondering what North Carolina thought would be the better move. My feeling is that bishop f3 is what you want to play because you hope to someday play e4. But then that would allow the queen on a8 to penetrate to a3, attacking the b pawn, which you do not have a way to defend easily. Bishop c4, queen a3, queen b3 would be plausible. So maybe the bishop belongs on c4 as a defender. The reason you don't want to push the b4 pawn to b5 is because then it gives the c5 square to the black knight on d7, allowing it to have a dominant position that you cannot remove it from.
Mm-hmm.
So this is quite the contest here, and how white chooses to defend that b5 pawn will make a difference in the ultimate result of the game. These are the choices that you face in chess, and it's one of those problems that you have to solve. Your opponent sets you a problem, you must solve it. Your opponent sets you a new problem, you must solve that. And so there is a back and forth of chess. This is the beat that many musicians like about chess. And we're seeing it here now. Black's pieces are well posted, and white's pieces are not as well posted. But that does not mean that white is lost. It just means that white will have some problems to solve. But the d5 pawn, I want to point out, is attacked 3 times, defended twice. So white's problem is how to bring in a third defender to that d5 pawn. The d5 pawn obviously cannot move, so it's a target, and black is positioning his pieces. Because no matter what white does, another way black might be thinking about proceeding is rook to e5, putting yet another piece on the d5 square. Now, I'm not saying that that would be the correct move, but black has options to increase the pressure on d5, and white is running out of the options to defend it.
Mm-hmm. So knight d2, white knight d2 was played.
White knight d2 doesn't make sense to me. So what was played?
Oh, are we still talking about the Elliot's game?
Looking game that's on Twitch.
Okay. Are we?
So I think you were going to show us the Elliot's game.
Yeah,
but I don't.
and I thought that we are on Elliot's game, so we might have to. I don't know how to restart the buffering because.
Oh, I see. I've been talking about a position that's frozen.
Okay.
I've been waiting for white to move.
Okay, so and that was, I think we can actually switch back. I think that game was the IC and the chess TX9. So let me go back and
Perhaps
then
I have to. Maybe I'm going to log off my Twitch and log back on because maybe it's me.
yeah, and I just started the Twitch again, making sure, but no, it's hopefully going on right. Let me try to find that move that you were analyzing because it was good. So that D5 pawn.
Well, I thought I was making a lot of sense, but if
Yeah,
no one
no,
could see.
you were. I just didn't. What was the last move?
Can you hear me, guys, again?
Yeah,
I can
we
hear you now.
Okay, great. And I can hear you. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I'm here now with you guys. Sorry
Sounds
for
good.
the glitch. My fault.
Not a
And
problem.
Sabina's gonna be live, so let's roll now.
Yeah, we have to regroup because Jim was analyzing a position. We even got a compliment how clearly he talks and how people are enjoying his analysis. But it seems I switched boards and he had a frozen position that he was analyzing. So we have
I
to
was
regroup.
struggling for more things to say about it.
But people were complimenting you, so it was fine.
Okay.
So I'm gonna actually switch back to board one.
Yes, this is.
So on board one, it seems Elshan and Sabina, can you tell us National Master 1E4 1-0?
His name is Ben.
Benjamin Chen. So he's around 2200 rated player.
And he's underrated, from what we gather.
Yes, and
well, I mean, for example, last week in a tournament, he got a draw against Ben Fine. Against Alex Fender with black pieces. I mean, he's a good player.
He's a good player, and because we had Paul Whitehead jump in, Paul is a FIDE master who is usually comments with us, and he saved our lineup in terms of number of players, and so he got on the highest rated. So he's 2300 online. He's a FIDE master, and he's with black here on first game.
You know, this game has gone a completely different direction than I expected. I expected white to be attacking on the king side, and yet black is the one that has managed to do that by playing f5. And the capture e4 f5 has left, I think the situation is better for black in the center now. And I think the tide has turned. I initially liked white's position. I am now liking black's position, but I'd like to know what North Carolina thinks.
So Elshan and Sabina, which position do you guys like it better? Which would you rather be, white or black?
Not hear you.
Oh,
sorry. Elshan, let's do it each of us.
Sabrina, can you hear me?
They cannot do it. We cannot do it. It's just let's comment and we meet at the end and we talk. How about we do that?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think it's better. I mean,
because this is just too much. I can't. We can't.
We'll go through the thing. Sorry,
Sounds just good. No problem.
Okay,
Thanks for checking in.
Sorry about that.
No, and
we'll talk at the end. Yeah,
hey
sorry
guys,
about that.
thank you for arranging this match, and I'm sorry about the two players. Okay.
Oh, no worries.
Okay.
We'll talk at the end. Take care.
We'll connect.
Thanks for help. And better luck
everyone. That was Elshan and Sabina, our two lovely chess couple, or one lovely chess couple, two lovely chess celebrities from North Carolina. And they were the ones who helped us make this match possible. right?
Very good. Now, the question here for me, looking at this purely from a positional sense, is that white is now trying to find a way to crack open black's position, because black's center is dominant. But and this is the move that I did not expect and is changing the entire picture in my mind. So I have to calculate what this means. Pawn takes, and 2 pawns. Okay, so the capture is okay, but it does not affect black. There's no material loss, is what I'm trying to stumbling to say. And without the threat of material loss, it seems to me that black has improved his position. Because now, if pawn takes pawn, the white bishop on d3 must retreat. And so on c2, it is not really much of a player in the game. And however, black also has the possibility of capturing with the knight. But no, the pawn was the move that I first thought of. And I think, okay, so now this is very interesting, requiring concrete calculation. And now this is another move that I did not expect. It may be a good practical decision to do this, because otherwise black was going to just steamroll white. So he's sacrificing the exchange. Rook takes f6, and black is thinking about how to recapture, but black will be up material. And so white is going to have a piece and a pawn for a rook. And that is insufficient from a material standpoint, but it may have been the best practical decision. So do we have another game we could look at, Judy?
Yeah, absolutely.
This game is very interesting, and I would like to return to it. But
yeah. We can also take a look at Michael Walder's game.
Okay.
And it a little bit. So Michael is down on time a little bit, but not too much, especially considering the 10-second increment. All it takes is 5 moves and 6 moves, and you gain a minute.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
So Michael is with white here.
And he looks like he's attacking his style of play. So if you will count the pawns for me, Judith, I think we're going to find...
Oh my God!
That
white,
black has more.
Yeah, black has 2 more pawns than white.
Right? But white, yes, correct, and that's maybe only momentarily, because black is in check, must move the king. The bishop is probably going to go to g3, attacking the e5 pawn, and I don't think the e5 pawn can be held. So really, it looks like 5-3, but it's probably more like 4-3. And white's pieces are more active than black's. You can see that all of black's pieces are on their original squares. All the remaining pieces are on original squares. And that is not true for for white. Sorry, white has the 2 bishops in play and also a rook on b1. So that line is owned by white. And the bishop on g6 is giving check to the king, so that must be responded to. You have no choice. When your king is in check, you must respond in one of 3 ways. You can move the king, you can block the check by interposing a piece, or you can capture the piece that is giving check. But none of those options are available except to move the king in this position. So black must, again, move the king, not improving any of his pieces' positions. So I would favor white here, except he will be down a pawn. And that is difficult for me to calculate right off the bat. Okay, so the king goes to e7. He doesn't want to go to the d file because he would be vulnerable to more checks. So that's a good practical decision. That is also an interesting move. I thought he was going to target the e pawn, but what he's doing is harassing the king, because the check on b5 and c5 will be difficult to address. I think he's going to play king e2 at some point, white, and then connect his rooks so that his rooks can get into the attack. Now, the question is it enough of an attack when you have reduced material, you always have to wonder, you always have to ask yourself, do I have enough force to win? And in this case, I don't know. 2 rooks and 2 bishops are enough, but this is a pretty wide open position, so the king may have the ability to run away.
Mm-hmm.
And running away is not cowardly. Discretion is the better part of power. And here he is again putting significant pressure, and that looks like a winning move.
Yeah.
Because there is no place for the rook to go. The rook is on a8, is attacked by the bishop on e4. And where can it go? It cannot go to any square that it cannot be captured. So then you
the only chance is
must
to
defend it probably
give a check, right?
You can give a check with rook d8, which is probably right. Good call. But it doesn't solve the problem. That was what I was expecting. Because he's yes, and Michael is not saying I'm not satisfied with just merely capturing the material on a8. I'm going to continue to harass your king. And if you go back to the back rank, I will just take your rook for free. So he must try to king f7, but then that runs into another problem. And I believe that's it. Yes. Okay. So now we have the situation that is almost winning for white, but is it winning? Okay, rook b7 is possible, but do you want to play that? How about rook takes bishop, bishop takes rook, rook takes bishop, rook b7? That seems like it's causing serious problems for black.
And then bishop takes rook was played.
Yes, this is the time to take it.
So I'm guessing he's gonna take it back.
Right, and I would assume that we're thinking of rook b7 as soon as the rook takes the bishop.
Yeah.
That puts pressure on both bishops. Both bishops are pinned to the king. So although technically 5 pawns to 3, you have a bishop and 2 pawns for the rook. Materially, in terms of force, in terms of material, the position is equal.
Oh, he didn't take it back. He checked with the bishop.
Okay, yes. All right, so he did not want to allow that.
That pin, yeah.
Yes, and I think that's a good decision on black's part. Yes, and d2 is the only square. You don't want to move to e2 because then you would bishop b5 check would skewer one of your rooks.
I have to tell you, this is a very interesting game.
Yes, it is.
It gives it gives the beginner chess player always the reality that always try to find a second move and then decide which one is better. Don't take the obvious move. A lot of coaches who they always say find candidate moves and then decide. 1 move is not good. 2 moves is okay. 3 moves you can actually choose, right?
This is a very forcing move. Bishop to e7 is very good. Yes, candidate moves are something that every good player has to learn how to do. You have to choose more than one move to analyze, because just analyzing one move will overlook so many other.
And even if it seems very straightforward, like taking back, right? I mean, you still have time to take that back.
You always can take it if it looks like a forced maneuver, but you might as well pay attention. And if you see a good move, look for a better one. It's good advice I was given.
Yeah.
And this has put black into a real quandary. And that is a good decision. Bishop takes bishop, rook takes bishop would have left black helpless.
Yeah.
And I think bishop g7 was a very intelligent move. So now the position is not clear to me. Once again, my lack of clarity is showing, but it is possible. What I'm thinking about is rook c1, rook c7 to double on the king file. But that is a good move too, because g4 cuts the king's escape squares.
Yeah.
So there is no way for the king to come forward. So it is stuck in the corner. And that is a very intelligent decision on white's part. So this is still a game of great interest to me. I can't say that white is going to win, but I would prefer to be white if I was playing that. Do we have another game to look at?
Yeah, I'm just actually very fascinated by that game, but let's see. So Elliot drew the first game. Let's see. Let's wander down and see the bottom boards a little bit, but my browser acting up a little bit. I want to peek into Abel's game just because he gave me, but it's actually not. Is it going down? I'm sorry, guys. I'm actually this laptop is very slow.
Where we're having technical difficulties.
Yeah. So he's playing.
So I am seeing this game that we were
not yet
analyzed, and black has improved his position.
Okay, so
by moving the bishop
actually,
on his board.
I was actually too. Yeah, let's speak into Elliot's second game just because I have it up here. So hopefully it will good. Yeah, we are a little bit technically challenged today because my yeah, my browser seems to be very slow.
Okay, here we go. Now this looks clearly winning and won.
Yeah, and won. Okay, hopefully maybe it caught up right now. So we are looking at Elliot's second game.
All right, Elliot is white.
Cleared up.
It looks cleared up to me, but
yeah.
Okay, so count the pawns for me.
Okay, and I will try to do that. 2 on each side gone, so that's easy enough. So we have 6 pawn each.
There you go. Good job. Okay, so now the question really is, the c5 move from black is a good move because it puts pressure on the d4 square, which is under pressure already. The bishop is pinning the knight, which would be its natural d4 defender. But now Elliot has chosen to keep that pawn protected, even though it's going to allow black to injure, not necessarily destroy, but injure his kingside pawn structure. Bishop takes knight, pawn takes f3. That would be, that's probably a very defensible pawn structure. It's probably not that big a deal.
Mm-hmm.
However, the d4 square is what black is fighting for. Now this is a good move too, puts some pressure on the e4 pawn, and it's putting the rook on the file that the white king is on, which is always interesting for me. I always like to have my dangerous pieces, my straight movers, the rooks and queen, on a line or a diagonal that is attacking a major piece of my opponent's. And so it's just naturally looks right to me to play the rook to e8. So what is white going to do? I would think you want to get rid of that knight on c4, which is causing you a great deal of, what is the word I'm looking for, Judith? A great deal of agita.
I don't know.
Technical difficulties again, because there's not that much more I can say about this position.
Yeah.
But I will give it a whirl.
Into Abhishek's second. Is it really still the first game? Yes, it's still the first game.
Oh, not this position. This can't be the first game. This must be the second game.
You would think so, right?
Yeah, because they're just starting it. If they were just starting their first game, they would.
Okay, this is the second game. The first game was a draw.
Okay.
Yep, I just have to move my my mouse a little bit, and then it updated. So the first one was a draw. The problem is that I don't know the opponent's screen name. I have a list of players, but I honestly don't know the screen names. So I can try to see if.
Just tell me who I'm rooting for.
We are rooting for white here, definitely.
All right, white has 2 bishops, which is a long-term advantage, but white has a pawn on d2, which is backwards. In other words, there's no pawn that can protect it. And its advancement to d4 is problematic because the c5 pawn is attacking d4, the knight is attacking d4, the queen was attacking d4, and now black has increased the pressure on d4 by advancing e5. So white looks like he's going to be saddled with the backwards d pawn. And what does he have in return for that? He has the 2 bishops. Now, one of those bishops, the bishop on b2, is good. The bishop on f1, I don't see much prospect for it. I don't know where it would go to. And so the position is unclear in my mind. I do not know who I would favor. The d4 square is wonderful for black. So knight d4 is coming at some point. You want to prepare it. You don't want to play it right away. You don't want to show your hand before you have to. But it is always hanging in the air. White must always be aware of that possibility. Because the knight would attack the queen, maybe break up the Yankees on the king side. Knight takes f3. So there are multiple threats here. And you do not want to give your goods bishop on b2 away. You do not want to play bishop takes knight on d4. So castling is a remarkable idea. He's saying I'm safe. Even though it looks like it's airy and there may be attacking possibilities against my king, I don't think you can break through. This is a normal move. You're developing your bishop off of its original square to an aggressive square, pinning the knight to the rook. Naturally, I would play bishop e2 here.
But he played queen c3, which is very interesting.
C3 is also reasonable, but I don't like it as much. I don't like it as much. I would have preferred bishop e2 there. The reason I'm saying this is because now knight d4 looks very strong to me.
Yep.
But maybe it's okay.
Wow, he moved the other knight up to c7, so.
Okay, so he's going to come to knight to e6 and then to the knight to d4 with even greater effect. So this might be a very good tactic for black, and not so much a tactic as a strategy, because you have the d4 square, it's firmly in black's control, move another piece to it.
Yeah.
It makes total sense to me. And I was thinking of a more forcing maneuver, but actually the slow and steady often wins the race.
Hey, Judith, did you get that text?
Nope. Oh, really? Broken up?
Yep.
We are broken up on Twitch. Oh, yeah, because you joined back. Ha. Hey.
So it's my fault.
Well, I wasn't saying it's your fault.
Well, we had the previous couple doing the same thing.
Yeah.
The man's fault all the time.
Very funny.
I'm used to it.
Funny.
I'm used.
But no, it's not your fault. I didn't expect you to
Yes,
join
yes,
back
me
so
too.
fast.
So sorry, kind of.
You're done so fast?
Yeah. The second game was a little quicker than the first game.
Yeah,
I think there was some frustration from the opponent from the first game that carried over into the second.
Yep.
And I say this lovingly, since Elshon was asking how much trash talk there can be.
Yeah.
You if I remember the game, that we just saw a brief glance at your game, and you were delivering checkmate with your rooks.
That was the first game.
What happened in the second?
The second was checkmate on the board, but I mean, the first game was tough. I think the second game there was frustration, where probably not as attentive to
Yeah,
the
and you
game
actually
as the first
played an
game.
unrated game. Now it's good. You played an unrated player,
Yeah, because
Nathan.
my mechanics handle had me at 800, so I played one of the lower. So
Yeah.
I told Elshan that would be the case because I didn't have control over.
Yeah, but they actually, when they signed him up, he's an unrated player. They actually told, 1400 rated player is good against him. So you weren't that far
No,
away
and
with that.
and the first
the important thing is to get a good game and
to get a game. And actually, that first game was pretty interesting. I thought it was exciting, interesting. We were both playing like fighting chess, so it was good. It was
to
fun.
Nick, and he can pick you apart.
Yeah. And I'd be curious what Nick thinks of it. It was just an all-out assault. Give it
to Paul. He'll do it.
It looks like we were behind at first, and we're sort of mounting a little comeback now.
Yeah.
Am I lagging behind?
Let's speak into Paul's game back. They are at the very end, and with 10-second delay, it's actually
it's actually a lot of time.
There we go.
Wow. Oh, and Paul's got the queen and the bishop, and his opponent has the queen and the knight.
Oh, white is winning.
And a bunch of pawns.
This is a definite change for me. I did not expect this at all.
Jim, your microphone is very faded.
Is that better now?
Not really. Let's see.
Really? And let me check. My volume is good.
Is it the microphone or the commentary?
The microphone.
That's faded.
He's back and he's like disturbing.
Can you hear me now?
No. Okay.
I can hear him.
Yeah, but he's much weaker. Like the sound is much.
Oh, from the Twitch end?
No, from the Zoom end.
Oh, really? Huh.
Well, I am on Zoom and I am not muted. I don't know.
I actually hear him fine.
Okay. So then, that should be fine. I'll test the Zoom. So I'll test the Twitch. So you guys can.
This looks complicated. This looks complicated.
Very complicated. And I would prefer to be white, but it's complicated. And okay.
What happened there? We had some captures.
I think white can force a win now.
Yeah. That just happened. Now, is there any chance that black can queen here?
No, not in time.
Not at all.
And I don't think that was the right move. Just play G4. But in any case, it's okay.
That kind of wastes a move almost a little bit, no?
Well, I thought so, because if the black king runs to the king side, you have 2 pawns against 1, you're going to win. So the only try for black is to snap the A pawn. So G4 would have been a preferable move. So if he plays king to the black king to the king side, now I'm not so sure what's going on now. Okay, I see what white is trying to do.
Oh, he's trying to kind of cover and then try to force like a draw with like the rook pawn.
Black is trying to take as soon as black goes away, the white king comes in, snatches the 8 pawn.
Yeah.
Queens.
That was it right there.
It's
right.
all gone. Yeah, it's all downhill.
Who's the player for White Knights?
Yeah, I don't know. But
to be named later.
Yeah, who's a white knight.
He's a white knight. Yeah, the White Knight got a full point on that one. So here we go with game 2.
So what is the standing in the match?
It is good point. Actually, what I have is it can't be updated. So let me see.
So it's 9.5, 10.5 right now.
Okay.
So I don't know your. Okay, 9.5 is us. Okay.
Yeah. So the. Sorry,
right.
guys. So are you guys?
Yeah.
I'm watching this game, and the pieces are being moved quickly. A4 is a very unusual move for me, which does not mean much.
And Paul seems to know these little variations.
Yeah.
Because he talks about them a lot when
he's causing black to think, which is always what you want to do. Make your opponent think on his time so you can think on his time too.
And Paul's got white, so.
Yeah, and this is an unusual move. It does not necessarily mean bad because the bishop, it takes bishop takes bishop, pawn takes, then the pawn on b5 is actually restricting the knight from going to the square it wants to go. It wants to go to knight c6, but it can't with the pawn there. So it's an interesting, okay.
And to answer your question, he's playing Benjamin Chen. He's almost a 2200 rated player.
I thought Paul was winning that game when the last time we looked and when we came in, he was losing.
Yeah, he was winning.
Yeah.
And it looks like Michael Walder is going to win his game. He's still playing his first game.
Yeah, that was very interesting. If we could go back to that.
Yeah, we should go. We were actually covering it, and it was a really beautiful middle game where there were some really straightforward moves. Thought so, but then they found really good alternative candidate moves. And
so some good counterpunching going on.
White wins here.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to be done about it.
Yep.
Yeah. That is resignable.
It should resignable. Yeah, exactly. It should resign.
Good win for Michael Walter.
Nice.
It sounds like it was well earned.
It was a very interesting game. And it was a very typical, Michael had given up some material for attacking chances. And the only question was did he have enough material still left
to survive?
To win the game.
Good for him.
He's playing Matthew Wofford. Matthew Wofford, who's a 2115 rated player. So that's a
nice win.
So he was up against Michael's experience on that game.
So, a little higher rated, but Michael is actually a very strong online player. I have to tell you.
Playing E5, I'm shocked. He's playing a Sicilian. Of course he plays.
And looks like Elliot's got
He's in downtime. He drew the first game, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Elliot.
You told me.
So I'm jumping to Elliot's game now.
There we go.
Elliot
he's down.
will be white.
He is down material here.
He's down material, down on time. So
yeah, the losing position, but
although can he go rook 4 to h4 and then get another pawn back? No, he can't. Or can he?
We call this swindling chances.
Well, we'll take it if it's there.
Absolutely.
But now, he's significantly down on time.
The queenside pawn, his drawing chances go way up. If he could trade his queenside pawn for the 2 black queenside pawns, now that's a nasty threat. Okay.
He's probably got to. There we go. He's probably got to get king to g2 because he wants to hang on to his rook.
Well, that was a good move to play first because then you can play to king g2 and you're safe. Except that rook
g8.
Rook g8. So that is nasty. So one of the rooks is coming off, and that is to I'd play rook h8, h6 here for white. Attack that a pawn.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work. But in any case.
And it was played. It's coming up.
Yeah, that was the best chance. It's not enough, I think.
But it doesn't work. Why?
Well, there are a couple of factors here. One is the rook can interpose on e6. You could play rook g8, and so one pair of the rooks is coming off, and that will make black's job easier. As long as you had the 2 rooks on the board, and Elliot has been validly trying to keep the 2 rooks on.
So he's probably going to take the rook there.
one of the rooks comes off, and that makes it difficult for.
And then rook h6, and then rook h5.
Rook e6. If you put rook e6. Okay. Because all the king and pawn endings are one for black, so you can't. You must trade one rook here. You cannot afford to trade a second pair. Now this is a reasonable try. Can he do that? Just keep harassing him.
Seems like he's going to run out of moves.
I don't think he can do it. No, I think it's lost, unfortunately, Elliot. I'm very sorry to say.
Then rook h5, and then king g6. Yeah. He's fighting. He's, as Paul would say, he's thrashing around, but now is that, well, then rook c6 check.
Ooh, so he's going to get his queenside passed pawn no matter what white does. And I think that's the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, it's just going to be difficult to defend that passer, and then you got the
he
and then you have the pass pawn on the H. Yeah,
I don't see how he holds it. Perfectly okay move.
So we're going to try to pick up wins elsewhere where we can here.
Yeah, I think we can look at another game. I think this is hopeless now for
Andy is playing, and also Adam Mercado is playing.
Ako Hidari, yeah.
So let's peek into that game, I say.
That's actually a pretty good matchup, actually.
Yeah. So just FYI, Ako is a hardcore mechanics player, but we gave him permission to play for the other team.
Ah, okay. We need him back.
Some coaching.
And he was actually gracious to almost like ask permission if he could play for the other team. But
who are we rooting for?
Well, we're rooting for both ideally, but in this match at this time, we're rooting for A-Boy, who's Adam Mercado.
So we're rooting for black.
Yeah.
And Adam Mercado is a solid 1800 rated player nowadays. So his online rating is a little bit lower, underrated. And then Ako Hidari is over the board is around 1980. So his rating is definitely underrated too. So these are both really strong players.
Ako is pleading with us to root for him in this game because he lost his first game to Adam Mercado.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, and just for the viewers, I don't think we're gonna go deep into analysis here, and also the delays. I'm quite confident we have probably a 20-second buffer between the moves and the Twitch, so I don't think Ako will be able to take advantage of our expert analysis, right?
Okay. But if you keep him on chat, then he can't concentrate on his game.
Yes.
And we're not saying anything about the analysis itself, just the delay.
Okay. Let's peek into Kevin Sun game. I always try to see how he's doing. He's playing B scene S3. So let me try to look if sometimes I try to look if it's Bob Wheat. Bob Wheat, he's originally from Arizona, it seems. I'm sure they are coached by Elshan or Sabina. So Bob Wheat is a 1700 rated player over the board.
Wow.
So this definitely some tough games for Kevin.
And Kevin's got material, but those pawns are storming down.
Why is it okay? It actually didn't material. Now you guys can see it. So Kevin is 2 pawns up, it seems.
Who are we rooting for?
We are rooting for black here.
Black.
And he did lose the first game.
I prefer black.
Yeah, black's looking pretty good. He's going to try to shove those pawns right down B and C.
Yeah, but, the knight is threatening the rook, so we must respond to that. But I'm wondering, can you play...
Why can't you play C3? Oh, no. Because if you take the rook on C8, you're attacking the queen.
Right. But C3 is still possible because knight takes rook, rook takes knight. What are you going to do? But that's probably more sensible.
Yeah. It's like you don't have to make something happen if it's not there.
Correct. And if you have a good position, like an extra 2 pawns that are advanced, for example, you don't want to get fancy. Just trade off material, make it closer to let the 2 pawns be your ace in the hole, or 2 aces up your sleeve, and trade pieces as often as you can, reduce materials, simplify the game. You have 2 connected, strong passed pawns. They are already very advanced. So there's no ending that you will not win as long as the rest of the material is even.
So he doesn't have to get too cute right here.
And the temptation is to get cute, and you must resist it because it is, you want to win magnificently. But the experienced player knows that winning is the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
It does not matter how pretty it is.
That's right.
Are we ready to
So
move on?
Now that we've dealt with chess aesthetics, we can move
let's peek into Andy's game. So this is Andy, Coach Andy Schley's second game. He did win the first one against Cruise Ship. Let me peek into the profile.
Not a lot of that happening.
We are rooting for...
We are rooting for white here.
Andrew Schley, yeah.
Well, it looks like the queen exchange. Well, it's not forced, but
and he's playing Kevin Young, who's a 1727. So I guess that's actually a very good matchup because Andy is around 1830.
Right.
So it should be a pretty even matchup.
I'm trying to think now, because queen takes b2 is not really a threat. I think I could play queen d3 here. But that may not be, that's not the right move either. Maybe queen h2.
Yeah, queen h2.
Because queen b2 is not a threat because you play your rook to b1 and then the rook on b8 is hanging.
Could you do queen h2 and then if h6 play g5?
Yes, you could. Now, is it the best continuation? I don't know. But Abel's idea is to break up the king's side. And it's definitely worth thinking about. It's a consideration. I'm thinking now, because I want to keep the queens on the board. However, Judith, will you count the pawns for me?
It's 3 on each side, so it should be 5 left on the board. Was
so
that fast enough?
You count by subtraction.
Because she's counting the pawns that are up by the name up there, right?
She's counting the subtraction. I see. Okay.
instead of on the board.
This is nice. But when you're playing over the board, your opponent can always hide a piece behind the clock.
Yeah.
So, that's dangerous in real time, but it works in this situation. Okay, now queen d3 is played and is playable, but
is that passive?
Sure, that was the right move.
Actually, don't you just lose a pawn? Queen. Oh no, because I guess the a6 pawn. But it seems like black gets their rook on b2. Oh no, but the knight. Black's knight on D7, E7. Yeah.
And that's mate if the knight moves and moves to the wrong square. So now I do not like the double isolated pawns on the king side for white. So this is why I wanted to keep the queens on the board, because I'm a little concerned about any ending. Only because of that pawn weakness on the white's king side. However, this is all tactical at this point. And I would play rook takes, 8 on a6.
Yeah. Rook takes a6. Yeah, played.
And white has no other well, that's not true. Okay, now what black has no other option but to defend the knight. So you cannot try to be cute and play rook to b3 after the bishop takes the rook. He has no time. But it looks like a move like king f8 might work. But then white has time to play rook c1 and hold everything. So this is not clear to me. Who's doing better here?
I mean, if king f8, wouldn't white just try to go c4?
I have to do a little calculation, but it looks like c4 would work, except pawn. I'm looking at pawn takes, bishop takes, rook b4.
Rook b4, and then rook c1, probably.
Probably rook c1. But then you're getting into defensive position.
Yeah, and then you're left with those double isolated pawns.
Right. And so I would think like rook c1 might be better in terms of holding off on that. If you can reposition your pieces so that c4 is more of a threat. So I would like to play c4, pawn takes, rook takes, rather than bishop takes, and activate both my pieces. So that was my thinking anyways. The immediate c4 is playable, but I don't want to be left with
the Akko Hidari Mercado game has gotten a little interesting if we want to take a look at that.
Let's move.
Sounds good. So
Yeah,
Akko is with white here, and we are not rooting for him. We're rooting for Adam Mercado.
Yeah, when we're dealing with a match, friends can, for the moment, become enemies. But then when the match is over, you can be friends again. And this is the situation here.
I've run into that many times.
Right.
And you just have to be an adult about it.
Yeah.
Now this is clearly winning.
It's just the way it is.
I think black is clearly winning. I don't see what I'm missing. Obviously, I don't see what I'm missing. It's redundant. But it looks like he's
because it has.
Well, maybe Elshan and Sabina, if he loses this game, will think there was some espionage going on with Akko losing these two games. And we're over here talking about what a loyal mechanics player he is.
Right. Well, I guess you have that a6 pawn as a threat, so it is not as slam dunky as it's appeared to me at first.
And Kevin did win the game, so very good. Nice job, Kevin. Thank you for joining.
That point.
As well as Manash Nayar.
Wow.
Manaj won both of his game.
So now it's 14-13 for the White Knights.
Congratulations, boys. Thanks for joining. Good warm-up for the San Francisco Scholastic Championship. For you guys, next Saturday is the big day. Get your games in.
The master promoter. That's going to be exciting. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Looks like we're gonna break 200 kids. Amazing.
Yeah, we are definitely over 200 awesome. Kids now.
That is awesome.
And if you include us who act like kids on the broadcast, that you're gonna have 201, 202, 203.
Yeah. And if you're listening, if you're one of the 200Ks, just be patient with us because it's a lot of emails. So if we don't answer within a few hours, it just means that we do need to actually have coffee breaks and things
I
like
know.
that.
See, Judith spoiled everyone because she answers the emails like right away.
Oh yeah.
But,
So if
but
I
we're all
don't,
human.
then bad. Anyway, okay, let's go into.
This is an interesting.
We didn't cover Karma's Revenge, which is Jeremy
Cotham.
Cotham. So let's peek into his game. He's with white here.
And he won his first game, which is great.
Okay.
Okay, he's white, and we're rooting for white.
He's white here, and awful lot of pieces up in the board still. So they are still in the middle game, and they don't have a lot of time left, right?
Yeah, they've been real technical.
Well, if this was the blitz game, I would be comfortable. But in a 15-minute game, they've taken a lot of time, sweet time to get here, and that is precious commodity.
Yeah, and he's playing a player named Phil Lesitsky, 1822.
It's about evenly matched.
So they are actually evenly matched. So
this is very double-edged. Now it looks like queen takes bishop is forced. Queen takes bishop. Queen takes knight. Okay, I did not think he could play that. Maybe he can.
That's what if queen takes bishop, he's going to play f5, right? It defends the knight and the mate.
And the mate. But, oh boy, I think you're right. Oh,
yeah,
no. I was just going to say, there was a possibility of playing it a different way.
I will be right back.
I think he walks into Abel's move.
But then if he plays f5, I mean, that's a... Oh, wow. I did not see that.
Did not see what?
Oh, you'll see. Yeah.
Ouch.
And neither did Jeremy, probably.
Oh, bishop c5.
It'd be nice if Black could deliver queen h2 right now, but it's wishful thinking.
Oh,
how many players of each side?
Bishop c5 check seems to win.
Yeah.
Well, good, Irene.
Yeah. Jeremy's going
to... 17 players each side. So originally we planned for 19 player, and 2 of our players, one showed up late, the other one had trouble connecting to the club match. So
all right, so Jeremy's going to lose.
That sounded like an excuse to me.
So we are 15 white knights, 14 mechanics.
So should we peek into our beloved Paul?
Yeah.
How many games are there remaining?
There are 2, 4, 5 games remaining.
All right.
So it's up in the air.
We need them all. Come on, Paul. Yeah. Go mechanics.
Yeah, so Paul actually, I think, lost his first game, which is... was a little surprise, but I guess we did put him on the tough spot, right? He needed to join very fast and probably wasn't prepared for playing, right?
I think that's a valid point.
Right, Abel, we give him that, right?
I was totally...
Yeah, we got to give him that pass, yeah.
It's only fitting.
Yeah, because, I mean, when he joined the broadcast, we the talk, and he said he needs to get a coffee. So that's actually, if he's not coffeeing down for a game.
Who has pawns here, Judith?
Okay, so how is he doing in the second game?
Well, I need to know how many pawns he has.
Well, he has one more pawn taken. So I mean, he took one more pawn off his opponent. So
now, would you rather have the knight on d5 or the bishop on d4?
I would say knight on d5 because of the queen is there too.
Very nice.
I
Very
love
nice.
it. Right?
And the pawn on c4 is protecting it, and the pawn on d3 is protecting the pawn on c4. So that knight on d5 is anchored.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right smack in the middle of the board, dominating. It could go to queenside or kingside at will. So it is the dominant minor piece on the board.
Yeah.
Now, that's not saying that the black bishop is not strong. It's well placed on d4 as well, but it is not as strong as the knight on d5.
so
I mean,
can we
how
check
can
on I'm sorry. When you get a chance, can we check on Tejas Mahesh? Because I'm curious what Jim thinks of this endgame. It's a king and pawn
I'm
endgame.
just wondering how can black defend bishop here?
What? I'm sorry, I don't see the position.
Oh, never mind. Let's check Tejas' game. Tejas is up on time with 8 minutes against his opponent, who is down on 1.
So we need black to win. Can black win this?
The question is, can the black get in front of the white king? And the
Yes,
answer,
he can.
it looks to me as though he cannot with opposition. It looks like now king b4 will draw the game. Now play king to c4. King to b4, yes.
Yeah.
So just keep the opposition.
Yeah, and draw was offered and accepted.
And it looks like white has established that he knows the theory, and the game is drawn.
Yeah, you got to prove it, right? You got to prove it.
Yeah, you got to prove it. Let's peek into Mike Walder's game quickly.
Always fun.
Always fun.
Almost a guaranteed fun game from
Mike Walder did win his first game.
This is weird.
And this is not looking good, though. So it's an exchange up, right?
Well, what do we think now? Because
did he have to play that? Why didn't he play queen takes rook? I do not understand.
Well, can he still do it, right? Because
pawn with queen.
The pawn with queen.
The bishop on e7 was protecting the queenie square. Okay, this wins as well. Very good. Yeah. Very good move.
And there's no
it protects now the pawn and queen. Very unfortunate. I think queen takes rook. I don't know what the answer was for white. I think bishop d6 was a horrible blunder.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong because I only glanced at the position, but it was crying out to me to be played.
Well, if in that position, if the queen had taken the rook, it looks like white could have gone bishop takes h6, threatening mate.
What am I thinking? Of course, the bishop was protecting it. No wonder he couldn't take it. All right, so I was completely full of it, and black was simply lost. Okay.
So it's 15.5, 14.5 now. But they're going to get that extra point after this. Although Michael's trying to find a way. And with the queen and the knight, is there shenanigans that can be done?
There is always shenanigans to be done, but I'm afraid this is
it's not enough.
It's not enough because we're talking about an entire rook. And the king is looking defended now, but that will change in a heartbeat. And
so we're gonna need. So Andrew Schley, that's gonna be tough. I'm trying to find. I mean, we're gonna need Paul and Adam to win. I think because Andrew Schley's game looks like it's going to be drawn unless he can pull something out, which is not out of the realm of possibility, but we need to pick up +2.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, we have reversed the positions. So Michael is black. You know, there's always the possibility of playing like Queen C4 and then Queen F1 mate. But you know, this is like you get desperation. You make a threat though. Why not make a threat and see if he sees it? And so it is not entirely without hope, but the hope is a desperate one. Now I still don't know what is White thinking of. Because White is running a little low on time, and you do not want to get into a time scramble where you could lose your rook to check, and all of a sudden it's a game again. So you have to be sensitive to this.
If we get a chance, we can go to Andrew Schley's game, because I think Schley is trying to find a way to win this.
Okay.
White is taking way too long in this move. There you go. Just do that. Why didn't you do that right away? I don't know. Okay, who are we rooting for here?
We're rooting for White.
I don't like it.
No, I don't like it, but like, is there anything that can happen?
Yes, of course.
It looks like Adam Mercado looks like he's going to win. And that's good because it looks like Michael Walder's might lose. Yeah, this is tough. We need a swindle in this game. Is what we need.
He is threatening King C4.
Yeah, a good old-fashioned fork.
And the knight can't really move away because of the rook takes F7.
Yeah, but King C4, he goes knight D2, right?
Good point. Although you don't want to let him get to C6, and then he's got, you know.
Although, how about this? If you go, well, it doesn't matter now.
You're right, though. That may not be best right now. Maybe.
What about Rook B1?
Okay. All right. I would play Rook B1. I would absolutely play Rook B1.
Well, here, what if the king moves to a white square, where it puts itself in a pin? I mean, they're not going to do that.
But why not Rook B1? I mean, I don't see how you save the knight.
Right.
Rook B1, please play Rook B1.
Oh,
he didn't. I take it he didn't. Rook B1, please.
No.
Oh, well, this is not over. Oh,
wait a minute.
That was not the best move, but yeah.
But now we have some chances. Yeah.
Now
Schley's going to have to utilize those 33 seconds wisely, right?
Oh my goodness, yes. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, but keep in mind we have 10 seconds increment.
Right yeah, right away. Then King C5. Then keep fighting.
If the rooks were off the board, this is a win, right?
I don't know. I think so. But you only have to eliminate the pawns, and it's probably a win, yes. But I would have to be careful. Now, you never go away from the pawns, buddy. Never go away. Always go
towards the pawns.
Yeah, well, I think he was trying to get out of the pin, but if you do that, play King C5 then. Don't play King C3. You want to keep your king active. And now he's helping you. Okay. So now you say thank you very much.
This is really close match, actually, because it looks like Paul is just slightly ahead. Looks like Adam Mercado is going to win the game. We expect Michael Walder to not be able to pull it out, but he's a KG veteran. But if Andrew Schley can find a way to win this, that would be just phenomenal.
I would not have played that. But you have no time. You have to play. So
And this is where for us now the 10-second increment benefits us because
see, this is not really a source of concern. I'd play rook f4 or that. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
And just let's a shout out to our mechanics players that are just doing everything they can to try to. And Adam Mercado did win his game, so the match score right now is I believe it is tied. Yeah.
Oh, this late in the match, that's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
very competitive.
So we have 3 more games going on.
Three more games to decide it all. Come on, everyone.
So
right,
very interesting. So we have Andy Schlei's game. We are watching that. We have Michael Walder and Paul, 2 of our veterans. So
we need experience over youth.
Old age and treachery.
Old age and treachery, yeah. Because we have less fear in these positions, right?
I am thinking that White is not in danger of losing this. I don't see much in the way of winning chances.
Do you want to check Michael Walder? Because this guy is fighting like nothing I've seen.
But since the
there
last
you go. So Michael is with black here on the bottom against Hoshiboshi.
There it is. Okay.
Who's white.
Yes, he has no business having gotten this well done. This is incredible. All right. Well, now that is a threat. Rook 8-7 is a threat.
And Andrew Schley, I think, is about to win a pawn.
Oh, it's so hard for me to calculate this. That's a very decent move. I don't know how you.
Okay, Paul did win his game. So
that is fantastic. Can we go back to Andrew Schley's game because I think he may pull this out.
Well, we're gonna lose this game.
Oh, 520. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I thought this was. I didn't think Black would allow this, but he obviously played F5.
Chess monster, go Paul. That's it.
Because now you're gonna take Rook F5.
Absolutely. And then King E5. You're making progress. Oh no! Take the other way. Let him make a mistake, like Rook check, and then if you played King G4, always allow your opponent to make a mistake.
So what you don't want to do is trade off that pawn.
Correct. You still have winning possibilities. Rook and bishop versus rook and.
I mean, if Michael Walder loses his game, this is the game that decides the match. No pressure, Coach.
No pressure, and I know him and Elshan are good friends. So
now, but wait a minute. Can we go Rook F5?
Check.
Rook F5.
Well, folks,
hey,
I'm back.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, good job. Nice win.
Some entertaining games, huh?
And actually, the way the game stands now, this game, Angie Schley decides the match. It's 16.5.
Yeah, Rook F5 check, King G6. No. Oh.
Jim, did I miss anything in the first game?
Well, I thought you were winning, but then we went away from it, and then we came back to it, and you were lost.
I don't think I was ever winning, but I'm not sure.
When you had the D6, E5, and F5 pawn structure, I thought you were better. Maybe not winning, but you were better. And the E4 move, I was kind of taken aback by. Now, I'm not saying it was wrong. I just wasn't expecting it. And then the position kind of was going in ways that cannot calculate.
Hey, you guys, I need you guys to calculate the win for white here.
Yeah,
All right,
because
this is
Michael
better.
did lost his game, so Andy needs to win this.
I need the calculation for the win here for white.
I've got to get back on the stream.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
it's
right.
fine.
This is a very, very difficult position to evaluate correctly. Now,
Any kind of zugzwang, something. We need like any kind of tomfoolery you guys can think of, and then just will it to Andy.
my
What
tomfoolery.
happened to Sabina?
They had technical difficulties.
Yeah. And I'm asking if they
idea
can
here-
they want to come after that, but okay, so why isn't he moving? It's like calculating? Okay.
But the idea, I think, for white is to penetrate king f6.
Boy, this is horrible to play this kind of stuff when you have no.
And the one thing you don't want him to run out of time, right? So you need that increment.
Well, the other thing is you can play your bishop to f3 and you king around to a8.
Okay. I feel like progress was just made here.
Yeah, Andy's doing great here.
So king f6, yeah.
Now, this is the ideal position that I was looking for in my own mind, and for some reason, I have it.
Oh my gosh!
Back to
Oh my
trouble.
gosh! Oh.
Yeah, this is completely crazy.
This looks one to me.
Bishop f7
Yeah.
threatens rook h5, mate. Oh,
Which
but then
is a
rook
threat.
check. Yeah. Okay.
He does check you there, though.
Now maybe king. Yeah.
What do you
I
do?
think king e7 was the move there.
I think king e7 was right.
Oh.
That's all right.
Okay, Andy's doing pretty good here.
Yep. That's okay. Where does the rook go now?
This
Because you're
standard
gonna play
increment
rook
is crazy.
g6. You got rook g6 as a threat. So where the rook goes is very important right now.
Actually, there's a lot of trouble right here for black because
Exactly.
Tell you what, yeah.
No, this I thought Andy got into the ideal position, the ideal winning position, and it was not an easy position to get to, and he got to it. So from there, I think it's a matter of time that black cannot continue to defend.
oh my goodness.
Go.
Okay, that's it. Game over.
This is a win. Oh my goodness. We're gonna win.
We're gonna win the match.
We're gonna win the match.
Yeah, that should
Amazing. Andrew Schley is the hero of
hero.
the day.
He is the man of the match.
Right.
All right.
Of course, we're counting our
We're-
chickens.
We're,
the hard way.
we're gonna give him the game ball.
That was a very cute maneuver there.
Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Fantastic.
Who is the guy I was playing? What's his name?
That I
be
can't tell you.
amazing. Let me.
Hello, guys.
Yeah. So the guy you
night,
were
everyone.
playing, Paul, was Benjamin Chen, 2200 rated player. Okay.
Hey everyone.
Congratulations,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
Thanks. A lot of action in the end there.
What a great match.
I had to
Not
play.
just
I'm
because-
sorry.
No, it was a great fight right up until the end.
So congrats, guys. Good match. Very close.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. There was a lot of excitement there in the end.
Players have nothing to hang
Very
their heads
exciting
about.
match.
Very exciting match.
Yeah, very. Especially one of your guys in winning position. In 3 seconds, I don't know, in 3 moments, the game changed 10 points in evaluation. 3 moments. 30 points in 3
Yeah,
minutes.
and
It must
we
have been my
two people,
game.
2 people that
In your
two
club
people-
worked against us
2 people that
as our students.
as our students work against us. So
Akko,
we're working with them. We are not
I said on the broadcast that we might get accused of espionage.
But 91-20, works with me, and Alco is in your club. Lost for us 2-0. So that
Yes.
worked a lot well for you. but apart from
But
that,
next time we don't let them play.
but the funny thing is that in last games of Alco, he's completed. Okay, he's back to the game, perpetual. He castles. He's getting mated. Then the opponent hungs a rook, and then he doesn't take the rook.
I don't know if you guys saw that one.
So
No.
I tell my students,
No, miss that.
yeah. I
No,
tell my
because
students,
Uncle also listens to the Twitch, so we don't usually cover his games, just so.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the
Yeah,
downside.
our
If
Twitch
you
finally
do
didn't-
follow our Twitch, we don't cover your game because we know you're listening.
Yeah. No, we couldn't get on Twitch. There was a problem with the connection. I have to look into it. So we actually just recorded it on the computer, and
Okay.
we'll try to post it.
share it with us.
Yeah, but I don't know what
Seems
happened.
to
But
be
it was
working
definitely
out.
very.
You can hear us and we can hear you now.
Yeah, no. It was some problem with the.
It was
the-
echoing back here through our.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah, because I was trying to stream in the same time, so I think I was using too much. I don't know.
Yes, I think that's right. If you had two devices on at the same time, yeah, that
Yeah, it was.
Mhm.
would echo.
Where
And we-
are the White Knights?
yeah. What's that? Where are we?
Yeah, where are you?
We are in Durham, North Carolina. Our students
Okay.
are all over the globe, basically. When we have our weekly tournament, we have players from Papua New Guinea playing.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
The
we
world
have.
is getting smaller. The world is getting
It was
smaller.
getting smaller. Yeah. So at
Yeah.
one point, actually, except Africa, we have students from each continent.
No. I did have one. sister from
Yeah,
Africa,
but not at this
South
time.
Africa.
Yeah.
Not at this
So in every continent but Africa, we have students.
Yeah, that's outstanding. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, this
Well,
was
we're
a
happy
lot of
that-
fun.
Yes, thank you, and thanks for the training you give to our kids and not kids, other ones, the adults. So it was it's a great experience for them in this time of the pandemic when there's no tournament and everything's canceled until after August or something.
Yeah.
You don't even know.
It's just playing
know.
some training games and they review their openings and they come back and they get feedback from me or from Sabina. It's a great
Right.
opportunity to enrich one's game and improve and reflect upon experiences. Yeah.
And it was kind of a lot of fun to, since there's no sports, or very, very few sports out there, to kind of have the drama that we had at the end and kind of that entertainment and that the emotion. And it's just kind of fun to be able to have that experience through chess and the matches we're doing. And so just thank you for you and your team for us to be able to do this all together.
I have more fun watching this. I'm seeing all the blunders than watching Magnus and the other guys playing
Right.
and making draw and move 25. That was more fun.
I agree. Yes, but the other thing that you're doing, that the service that you're providing, is you're creating a community that these people, wherever they are in your community, and that is what we are doing here in the mechanics. Is that players around here? Okay, we can't get together physically, but we can still feel like a community where we can talk to one another, chat with one another, play one another, and it's keeping that connection. And in this time when we're so sheltered in place, keeping the connection is very important. So thank you for your service.
Thank you so much. Also, we really appreciate and we are proud of this match. I sent a link of the history of Mechanics Chess Club and all the activities to my students. I made sure that they know about the chess history and activities going on around the country.
Thank you for that.
Making sure that they understand the heritage. And it's very important. Wherever chess is, we're all in one community. As it's a small world now. So knowing about these values and these works and services done are very important.
Thank you so much for saying that. And thank you for just spreading, because the history is important because, especially for a place like Mechanics, it's been 165 years. It's good that for people to know just where chess came from and with the clubs, how they started and the people that make it up. And the same is going for your club. You're creating your history, you're developing it, and we're happy to be a part of that through this match.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And it was great. Pleasure watching these games, and we hope to see your games in the future and matches. Do you have any match coming up for you next week or other weekends?
Well, we're kind of busy next week with our San Francisco Scholastic Championship. It's going to be online, and we have 200 kids already. So if you have kids that want to play, anyone can join, but the championship title will go to the top Bay Area kid. So we
What
are
about if they're from California?
Mhm.
Sorry to break. What if they're from California? So they should be from the Bay Area
They can
or
still
from
play.
California?
They can still play for free. We can even ship the trophies if they win any trophy. But the title, the San Francisco Championship title itself, will go to the first Bay Area kid. But we get this question nowadays a lot, whether anyone can join around the world. Or in the US. So by all means, it's next
Yeah.
Saturday at 11 o'clock. Mostly on Chess Kid. We will have one section on chess.com for Scholastic players who are rated above 1,000 USCF rated over the board, roughly, give or take.
But
So
we can't allow we cannot allow the title to go to someone rooting for Duke. So
yes, definitely so.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Well,
So that's
I'm not
next
playing the tournament.
Saturday,
Don't worry.
and then next Saturday and the following Saturday, actually, you guys are invited too. We're gonna have our very first online USCF rated cash prize tournament. It's a Blitz and Rapid. Rapid is on Saturday, Blitz is on Sunday. We are.
Is it next or the weekend after?
Was that?
The weekend
Next
after.
weekend or the weekend after?
The weekend after. So May 30th and May 31st. Each tournament is awarding $800. So altogether, it's $1,600 prize fund for the weekend, and it's gonna be open to anyone as well. So we are kind of busy with that now.
That's great.
Yes,
If there's
sir.
any flyer or anything, we'll be happy to spread the word for our students.
Yeah, I will send you the email information. No
Absolutely.
flyers. We stopped doing flyers.
Yeah, flyers. We did that this
so,
side.
I must go now. It was a
All right.
wonderful time. I
It
enjoyed
was a
it.
wonderful
Wonderful.
time.
Thank you,
Well,
Jim.
take care.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for.
Take care.
Thank
Sid.
you.
Thanks for
Bye.
having me. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye,
Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
are we all signing off?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
was a fun match.
Very
Paul,
fun
thanks
match.
for playing, Paul.
Ah,
For jumping in.
yikes.
Okay,
It was an
let's.
experience.
Who should we raid? Kim Liu.
Yeah, because she rated us well, so let's
Yeah, so let's raid
Kimmy Liu
Liu 18. Okay,
and
so
from FM Paul Whitehead, GM Judith Starry and Montes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this was a whole lot of fun, and we won. It makes it even more fun, and it was just fun to have that drama in the end. One game for all the marbles, and we needed a swindle, and we got it, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
yeah,
From
So
a mechanics chess coach, no less.
right,
yeah, exactly.
good.
So
Yeah.
very proud of Andy. Okay, bye guys, everyone.
See you.
You guys are
Bye.
directed to Kimmy Liu, so hopefully Kimberly Liu, so hopefully you enjoy it. Okay,
All right, bye everyone.
and bye. Okay.
Hey, you guys don't throw